lot of people that I know are craving for certain things and they can't have it, and they're just so depressed.
The suffering in my hips in particular is generations old. That's from Africa.
For me, the Dharma has been freedom. And the Buddha said, you can be free in this lifetime. And I want to taste that.
People who have an experience of being in a low power position in society is they constantly and perpetually feel insecure.
My name is Aisha Mason, and I'm really excited about this People of Color retreat because I'm expecting something wonderful. I don't know what, but I'm anticipating it and I'm ready for it, ready to be a part of it.
I was pretty nervous about coming up here and coming to Deer Park. And I know that part of that had to do with the fact that I felt that I'd probably be the only African American, Filipino, person coming up that weekend.
Not too many places in the United States where you can just walk and you just look around, you see people, but you don't hear people, you know?
Back in Boston, if you say, like, walk up to somebody, say, hi, my name is Charles, they'll look at you like you're crazy, like, who are you? Why are you talking to me? Get out of my face. Like, but here, you say, hi, my name's Charles, they'll be like, oh, hi, my name's so-and-so. How you doing? How's life? Where you from?
You belong everywhere that you want to go. So it's cultivating that mind state. It doesn't mean it's not going to feel hard. It doesn't mean it's not going to be scary. And it doesn't mean that it will be much more supportive to have awareness in the people on the other side of the door to welcome me. I'm thinking particularly about Dharma centers. If I want the Dharma, there's nothing that can stop me from getting it, except myself.
I have arrived. I am home. Is the embodiment, the expression of my practice. It expresses my understanding of the teaching of the Buddha. It is the cream of my practice. I have arrived, I'm home. And since the time I have found my true home, I don't suffer. I did not suffer anymore.
We live with a conditioned mind. So how do we think that our mind is going to give us the answer on how to be free? It comes through the practice, and it comes through the experience. We have to experience it. And the Buddha said that. He said, don't believe in what I tell you. You have to experience it. In this package, it's in the body that we experience and verify the Buddha's teaching. It's not through intellectual understanding.
All of this is about practice. It's not about theory. It's not about ideology. One of the wonderful things about Buddhism is that it is a series of practices, very specific and very concrete, that we can do whatever we believe.
You may use the verse, I have arrived. I'm home. I have arrived. I'm home. Or you may say, breathing in, I feel calm. I relax. Breathing out, I smile. Calming, smiling. Breathing in, I establish myself in the present moment. Breathing out, I know this is a wonderful moment. Calming, smiling. Present moment, wonderful moment.
Every time we hear the bell, we stop our thinking, our talking, our acting, in whatever ways, and just enjoy our in-breath and our out-breath. And as we're able to enjoy our in-breath and out-breath, we become fully present in the moment.
In your daily life, maybe your body may be here, but your mind may be there. They go into different directions. And you are in a state of distraction. Mind and body are away from each other. Your mind may be preoccupied by your project, your fear, your anger. Caught in the past, caught in the future. But between your mind and your body there is something. Your breath. And as soon as you go home to your breath and you breathing in, I know I am breathing in. And then your body and your mind come together very quickly. While breathing in, you don't think of anything. You just focus your attention to your in-breath. You focus, you invest 100% of yourself into your in-breath. You become your in-breath. There's a concentration, mindfulness of your in-breath, concentration and your in-breath that will make body and mind coming together in just one moment. And suddenly you become fully present, fully alive.
I remember my grandmother said that when I was born, bombing was going on very heavily, and they had to carry my mother and me under the tunnel, running away from all this bombing. And my grandmother said that my auntie was holding me, and two men were carrying my mother on a hammock because they thought that if they put us together, both of us may die. So they had to separate us like that, and so that we had a chance, one, to live. And so I was born during the war, and as a product of the war as well.
My father's African American, my mother's Italian and Norwegian, and grew up in Southern California. And growing up, definitely experienced a lot of discrimination because the place that I lived, there weren't many other people who looked like me. And so I felt a lot of people's wrong perceptions and fears, and that had a big influence on me, and I suffered a lot because of it, because I didn't understand it, why that happened.
I don't think I really handled it well when I was that young. This whole issue of discrimination, I really kind of started really rejecting being Vietnamese, being Asian. If I was Asian, then I was going to be discriminated against. People were going to poke fun at me, and so that's when I started really kind of, I'm not Vietnamese. I'm American. I'm one of you guys. I like playing Nintendo. I like going to the mall. All those things you do as a teenager. I'm just like you guys. So that's when I really kind of turned my back on my color, on my heritage.
I am half Mexican, half Polish, and I grew up in Los Angeles with my Mexican family. And I don't know, I'm the latest generation of immigrant families to the United States, and have inherited a lot of amazing stories, but also a lot of amazing struggles.
A pure-blooded French person would still ask the question, qui suis-je? Who am I? A Vietnamese person who's a purely Vietnamese would ask the question, tôi là ai? Who am I? And we can ask that question in English, who am I, or in any language. And we can feel that we know our parents and our ancestors, and still we ask the question, who am I? Who are we? What we're here for? The color of our skin, or what we are categorized as, it doesn't make us. If we are not skillful, it can confine us.
My dear friends, if you have the feeling that you do not belong to any land, to any country, to any geographical spot, to any cultural heritage, to any particular ethnic group. When you have that feeling that you are not accepted, that you have nothing to belong to, you have no identity, that is when you have a chance to break through to your true home. That is my case. It was my case. During our retreat, we practice mindful breathing, mindful walking. And that is why we are encouraged to use our time for the practice. If we talk a lot, there will be no time to enjoy our in-breath, our walking. The collective energy of mindfulness while walking, while sitting, while eating will be powerful, and it will penetrate into each of us. We'll be healed by the collective energy and nourished by the collective energy.
I think it's imperative to be able to discuss the issues mindfully. I think when we get caught in the talking and do not go deep into feeling the pain of what it's like to have been targeted by racism, not just us, but our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, our entire ancestral lineage, until we go deep into what that suffering is and feel it in our body. It's challenging to talk about it mindfully because the wounds are still oozing.
I would describe the suffering as just being almost a disillusionment. I was looking for the good in life, the good in people. I felt as though there's good in me, there's kindness in me. Why isn't it in other people? Where is it? Am I so different? I wanted to see the good, and I just couldn't see it.
If you get on the bus, you look at a person a certain way, they get upset. Or they'll laugh at you for what you have on. That's just... It's like, with that discrimination, people are suffering because females have low self-esteem. And a lot of people that I know are craving for certain things and they can't have it, and they're just so depressed half the time, you know, with school and stress and everything. Just, it's really big, especially when you're a teenager.
When I walk, sometimes I would say, "Mother, I'm walking for you. I know that in your life you were never able to take peaceful step." She was always busy, you know, taking care not of both of us, her children, but also her mother, her brother, her sister, and everybody. And I slow down for myself and for my mother, and for my grandmother, and for my partner, and for my sisters and brothers, you know, for so many people that I slow down for. And that is a very strong motivation for me to practice and to heal.
When I practice walking, I generate the energy of freedom and solidity. And I feel that all my ancestors enjoy the freedom and the solidity that I generate with the practice of walking. Because to me, my ancestors are always alive in me, fully present in me, in every cell of my body. And if I am free, they are free. So the act of making a step is an act of freedom, an act of liberation. You liberate yourself, you liberate your ancestors. It's an act of revolution.
I ended up starting a Sangha of young Vietnamese people, people like myself, who had felt lost, you know, being immigrants, but also people who also had really retained their their traditions, and I learned a lot from them. So we had a group, and we met together and practiced together, and so that was the fruits, being with people who could identify with the struggles that I had and who I could also learn from and learn more about my heritage, because I didn't know very much about it. I didn't know what was beautiful about it. And that's important for parents to teach to their kids. You can't expect them to automatically know what's beautiful about their culture. It's really important for parents to teach them, well, this is why we do this. This is why we bow in front of the ancestral altar, because we're honoring and we're paying tribute and being thankful for what our ancestors have done and what they have passed on to us.
If you're all alone in the world, then you don't got nothing. If you don't have nobody that you can turn to, you have nothing. So if you have a Sangha, even if they're not really your family, they're still family, they're your Sangha. So if you have them, you can have something to fall back on or somebody to turn around to. You got a problem, I'm not happy with this situation, I'm not happy with that situation. But if you have a Sangha and you have family, everybody is compassionate to you and everybody listens. Because if you're talking to somebody and you feel as though they're not listening, your point's not going to get across and you're not going to be satisfied with what the answers they gave you. You're going to want something deeper. And if you have a family who actually feels for you and wants you around, like feel welcome every time you walk by, they smile at you and shake your hand, then you will feel welcome and you will open up and then your problems will get solved. But if you keep quiet, then if you have nothing, you're not going to open up, so you're not going to have no family really. So a Sangha is really the answer. We need family.
Can be the source of more. So
at one point, I told my Sangha that my husband didn't like for me, well, it's not that he didn't like for me to come, but I felt guilty about leaving him on Sundays when our Sangha met, so I didn't come very often. And I can remember when I said that, someone told me that to remember that whether I was there or not, my Sangha was with me. And that felt so good to know that. And to be 54 years old and finally feel as though, out there are people who are caring about me, who are sending me love, who are sending me, good stuff. That felt really good. And it was just such a simple statement. But I carry that with me all the time.
You live the present moment with your children, with your beloved partner. You be the eternity with the blossom of the peach tree in your garden, or eternity with your friend, eternity with your son, eternity with the person you really love. And then that is the practice.
When you go to your true home, when you are able to touch your true home, you see that everything includes everything else. You touch the nature of interbeing, of everything. If you look deeply into the flower, you see what? You see a cloud. Because you know that if there is no cloud, there will be no rain, and this flower cannot manifest itself. So looking into the flower, you see an element. You don't call flower, but it is part of the flower. Cloud or water. And if you look deeply, you see the sunshine. Well, the sunshine is in it. Without the sunshine, nothing can grow. I can touch the sunshine by touching the petal of the flower. You cannot imagine that there is a flower without sunshine, without cloud, without soil. Such a thing does not exist. The flower is full of everything. So to be, the real meaning of to be is to interbe. You cannot be by yourself alone.
The practice and the Dharma speaks to people of color. We're flocking, we're hungry for it. All you got to say is, Shakyamuni Buddha taught liberation, and we're there. We know what that means. I was telling my tia, my aunt back east, when I was being lay ordained. Right? And she was a little leery because I had moved to California, and she thought I was going to be, fallen into some cult or something like that. And so I wanted her to know, I'm practicing Buddhism and I'm going to go through this ordination. And she said, well, and this was all in Spanish, so it loses a lot of it in the translation. But she said, so what do you believe in? I said, well, actually, not much, But I'll tell you, there was this man named Gautama who had this realization, and he taught it in 4 simple statements, called the Noble Truth. And the first one is, there is suffering. And she goes, well, then I must have been a Buddhist all my life, because I've known that since I was born.
The first thing we learn to do is to be more at peace, to meditate, to be more calm within ourselves. So naturally, when that happens, things start bubbling up because they aren't suppressed anymore, because it's kind of like there's no mud, there's no layer of mud kind of blocking them, and suddenly, your emotions, feelings, problems, happiness, they just seem to kind of bubble up much more easily.
I have certain places in my body, like in my hips, and there's a spot behind my shoulder blade, which I learned a little bit about while I was here, where I always have pain. And I was kind of starting to wonder if maybe some of it wasn't mine, if maybe some of it was just kind of a sensitivity to the experience of being a woman in the world, the experience of being a person of color in the world. And I was doing yoga in the wonderful Ocean of Peace meditation hall, and it just became so clear that the suffering in my hips in particular is generations old. That's from Africa. It's mine, it's my mother's, it's my father's, it's centuries old. And it takes my attending to it to heal it.
I think each of us has to go on a journey towards our home and touch the real, the people who we come from, and embrace them before we can do other things that are broader.
I'm 36 years old now, and my mother, when she disappeared, she was 36 years old as well, And I look a lot like her, so you can see my mother sitting here. But I had my grandmother as a peaceful person, and I had my mother as a quite turbulent person. So I got both of that in me. I know that with the practice, I do transform for myself, but also for my mother.
All people of color have shared historical experience in the sense of the name itself. Shared experience with discrimination as a collective group. Shared experiences with not being seen and not being valued and not having voice. Shared experience in knowing there's more to it, but never being in a forum where we can actually talk about things that we've been able to talk about this way during this weekend. Rarely do many of us get to have the conversations that we're having all around Deer Park right now. And having those conversations helps us heal and helps us transform and encourages us to bring this all back to our families, our community, and society at large, well beyond people of color.
And Buddha is not a god. Buddha is a human being like us. He had suffered. He had practice. He was able to transform himself. And he was able to transmit the wisdom of interbeing, of non-discrimination to us. And with that wisdom, we can liberate us and we help liberate the world with our practice.
How to not abandon our communities and be a mindful social activist is the crucial question for our liberation. And when I think about the question, what arises is leading from the heart instead of the head. So what would it be if I embrace my anger, as Thich talks about, and I'm able to touch the grief and the pain of the suffering, and lead from that place of vulnerability. Right? It's pretty scary, right? Then go deeper and embrace that fear and lead from that place of vulnerability. Right? Not abandoning the issues, yet leading from a place of an open heart and compassion. As long as we lead from a place of a we-they, we're into a dualism. Right? So we're ready into separation. So we're leading from suffering rather from liberation. You know, that's part of the Dharma.
I had a mental idea in my head that if I took care of myself, that meant I had to abandon my concern for social justice and abandon my commitment to alleviating the suffering of others. And so it was a idea that was keeping me from taking care of myself. So when I discovered the 5 mindfulness trainings of Thich and the 14 mindfulness trainings, I was very joyful because I found a practice that was both about healing my own suffering and healing the suffering of the world, and a practice that recognizes that those two things are interconnected and they can't be separated.
The purpose of the 5 mindfulness trainings, as Sister Chan Kong has already said to us, is to train our hearts and minds in ever-deepening loving kindness and compassion. To take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, from my point of view, is to take refuge in the real Department of Homeland Security. Our true home.
After receiving the 3 jewels and the 5 trainings, the practitioner understands that he or she should study and recite the trainings regularly, if possible with the Sangha, so that the practice of the jewels and the trainings will deepen day by day.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to you. What's y'all's name?
Healing Aspiration of the Heart.
That's a loving connection. It's only in English. If it was, I wouldn't have it. Yeah. And mine is Embracing Life of the Heart.
That's wonderful.
Loving integrity of the heart. Very nice. Congratulations. Thank you so much. You all are beautiful women. I'm so happy to share this with you.
My name is Sincere Friend of the Heart. And I think I like that name. I think it's a great name.
It's so special.
Just the profundity and intensity, or so many things of this experience and the people.